Dr. Millie. I'm glad to introduce the chairperson for this session, Madam Awo Aida Amenya. Madam Awo is a founder and an executive director of the Child Online Africa. The Child Online Africa is a child and family focused charity group that works in Ghana beyond through strategic partnership. Madam Awo's role has been to lead a team of professionals and volunteers that is committed to influencing policies and changing practices in favor of children well-being when they engage in online activities. So since 2013, Madam Awo has been at the forefront of the call of government and other stakeholders to put in place measures that seeks to safeguard children within the cyberspace. And this has led to the call and revolution regarding child protection intervention in Ghana. Her work, on the other hand, has also influenced the national cyber security policy and strategy in Ghana in the year 2015. And in 2018, also, it influenced the African Union's agenda for 2024 in ways to protect child online protection. Madam Awo's purpose, passion, and pursuit is to have children and young people protected, provided for, and help them participate responsibly in the digital space. Madam Awo cannot imagine not doing what she does best, trying to protect these children and the young ones, and she loves working with children. Awo also is a vice chairperson of the IS3C. The IS3C is a not-for-profit organization set up with the international IGF. The purpose is to help specific needs and make the internet safer and more secure by reinforcing standards and educating the public to become informed and responsible users. So to members and to MC, I'm glad to introduce Madam Awo Aida. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Ampon. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Right. Thank you for giving such an elaborate introduction. I was going to just wait to hear my name and then my portfolio at the organization and then carry on, but then you've gone a step further. So thank you. And it's a pleasure joining you for this discussion. I don't think I would have loved to be anywhere else than here today for this particular discussion, because as much as possible, those who know me quite well know that I eat and drink online safety for children. So it's an honor to be here and to take this role of chairing the session. It's a world that we found ourselves in that we cannot do without. Whether we like it or not, we're going to be part of the space. And that happens in so many things, in so many cases. Therefore, when we have children who are naturally impressionable, having to engage or participate in that space with us, we need to be deliberate at whatever it is that we're putting forward for them, just so they can have the right environment in order to engage. So as the chair for this function and looking at the theme or the topic for discussion, which has to do with how to protect your child online, I will look at it, I will turn it around to call it, to say what the child needs in order to engage online. So having worked in the space, this is chairman privileges actually, because I need to put things in perspective. Yes, so indulge me for that. So having worked in the space, we've come to agree, or all stakeholders engaging in the space, including yourselves who have put this together, have come to agree that any intervention seeking to safeguard the future, the well-being and welfare of young people must take into consideration the young people, what they do, or what the young people are doing online. What are children doing online? Are they learning? Are they playing? Are they communicating, or what? What are they doing online? It's one of the things we take into consideration. And the other one has to do with the opportunities and risk that they can find online or they can be confronted with online. And even going a step further by anticipating the challenges they might face if they are confronted with some of these risks that they will face. And then again, put forward or be proactive by putting forward solutions or strategies, both technical and practical strategies that gatekeepers of these children, or the people who are who play the gatekeeping role of these children, can fall on, i.e. parents, caregivers, teachers, and all the other stakeholders, including us educators or those working in academia. So looking at the trends that are going on, we know that when we want to situate the interest of children, we're looking at the fact that they are exploring online. There are bound to be challenges or risks that they may be confronted with. The fact that they have behaviors that might be inquisitive, leading them into asking questions. They are bound to contact people whom they are not supposed to contact, or they are bound to have interaction with people that they are not, strangers that they don't know. And then we also would have to look at their behavior in general. Maybe they are carrying a baggage from home, being isolated from home. So they now come into the digital space in order to find acquaintances or find somebody to interact with. And the bigger one for us now is the contract risk, which I'm sure the presenter is going to draw much on, because clearly we're having issues with contract. People don't read terms and conditions well enough before they sign up. And these children, most of them also do not understand the terms and conditions, but they are also engaging in the space with that. But in all of that, the presentation I'm looking forward to hearing would also look at what can be done at various levels in order to protect these young people. What can be done at various levels? These levels has to do with the network level threats that might come to these children. We're talking about the device level threats. How can parents help children in that regard? And then we're also talking about the human level, which is very crucial, because that has to do with the communication, dialogue, and all the other things that we can do with the young people in order to build their resilience in engaging in the space. So in order not to bore you too much with my remarks, I'm looking forward to hearing you as our participants, for want of a better word, pardon me to use that. I'm looking forward to hearing you, our participants, telling us, okay, or sharing with us your experiences, which would make this whole conversation a lot more interactive and practical, because you have heard a number of young people around you sharing experiences about their engagement online. How do we then help them in terms of their well-being? How do we support that? And even in terms of their rights as young people, do we help them understand their rights as users of the space? So that said, I would like to pause here and pass the microphone over to the next person. And I'll be listening keenly to seeing what we can make of this wonderful topic we're discussing for this afternoon. So thank you, Madam Dr. MC, over to you.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, Madam Chairperson. We are very grateful, and I can see that we are in for a treat looking at the remarks coming from the Chairperson. And coupled with the fact that we have a very seasoned presenter going to give us a lot of insights. They usually say the best protection is a decent internet security suite that blocks unsafe links.
Hello.
So we are in to learn, get more insight. So take the opportunity to invite Dr. Douglas Yeboah, Lecturer Department of IT Studies, who will introduce to us our resource afternoon webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ganjiban. I do an honor to all of you here present. I deem it a privilege to introduce the resource person to this occasion. He is in the person of Dr. Selassie Okansi. Dr. Okansi is indeed a great choice for this webinar. Why do I say so? Dr. Okansi is an expert in information system security and a lecturer at the Department of IT Studies, UPSC. His background makes him indeed a great choice to deliver this talk. His research areas include computer security, cloud computing, Internet of Things, and social media. Dr. Selassie Okansi obtained first degree in computer science and management in 2009 at Wisconsin International University, Ghana. Afterwards, he obtained Master of Science in Information Technology in the year 2012 from Sikkim Manipal University, India. And then finally, Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Applications Technology, Jiangsu University, China. Dr. Okansi has taught a number of courses, including computer network and security, network development, database management, systems audit and control, among others. Indeed, audience, I believe you agree with me that a personality with such background is a great fit to deliver this talk. So I hereby invite Dr. Selassie Okansi to deliver his talk on the topic, how to protect your child online. Audience, your speaker. Dr. Okansi, your audience are listening.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me clearly.
Yes, please.
Okay, yes. Let me look for my PPT. Okay, so it's a privilege and an honor to be doing this presentation. It's always been my greatest expectation that I can also play a role in seminars like this, and I hope this is not going to be my last. I'll be doing a lot more. So I will be practicalizing what Madam said earlier, Madam Chairperson, as to what we can do to protect our kids online. The fact is, most kids now have sharper brains than most of us who are even in the industry. I remember the first time I bought an iPad, I put a lock on it because I knew my son is very inquisitive. Before I knew, he was unlocking my iPad to use without me showing him what the password is. So that should show you how inquisitive they are. Hence, how are we going to protect them online? That's what I'll be showing all of us here. So first, a few tips before I go to how we can help them. So I'll do a little introduction of what I'm going to do, give pointers on cyberspace and the issues that face our children online, and a few statistics. Then I'll now go into what I'm to do today. I'll give a checklist of some cybersecurity pointers we need to take charge of as parents. And I'll also go into some certain controls. What I'm going to do will involve how am I going to protect my kids online, whether by browsers, whether by Android and iOS. So I'll look at all the aspects. Then the last one, I'll find a way to show you how I regulate how my TV is accessed, especially with TVs now behaving more or less like computers. You basically can do anything on your TV without even your laptop. You can browse, you can get access to every platform you want just by watching your TV, not like in the 80s or early 90s where our TV goes off and you just have to hit on top of it for it to come. This time, our TVs are not like that. So I'll show you how to protect even your television. Now, COVID came and we all have moved or shifted our positions or works to online, where our kids during the COVID became very, very technology oriented. They spent more time with us, hence had more times with our gadgets, our phones, our tablets, our televisions, our laptops, our desktops. With all this came negative experiences. People have complained their children having social media accounts without them even knowing how they created it. Some have children who have Facebook accounts with pictures on it, with even their parents' pictures on it, without their parents even knowing how they created the accounts. Children have had mood swings just because they've been cyberbullied by other colleagues, either by taking pictures of how their father's car or their mother's car looks, and the other children laughing at them that this car is not nice, this car is not this. They feel so down when it comes to scenarios like this. Hence, what are we going to do to sometimes psychologically help them? And that will be, I think, Madam Chairperson will go into that, since that's a main area. Now, the 6 main things are pointers I noticed affect children. One is screen time. Second one is cyberbullying. The next one is sexting. The fourth one is fake news. And the fifth one is inappropriate content. Screen time even is not just for our kids, even we parents. Most of us sometimes have so much time online without knowing it even affects our eyes. So most of us in lenses, it's not that people will say you are book long. It's all because of computers and facing a lot of lights. Then cyberbullying. This has a lot of effect on our kids, since now they spend more time online with their friends in terms of WhatsApp, in terms of Facebook or Instagram. There's a lot of people who compete for whose father's car is nice, so on and so forth. So those who are not that privileged feel so low or low self-esteem. Then sexting, which is becoming more of a problem in our society now, where now there's a lot of sexuality. I don't know where to put, but a lot of things related to sex in our environment, in terms of images, in terms of what people say, in terms of what people hear. So that arrangement of kids seeing all those semi-nudes, nudes, sex talk and all that, it also plays a role in how they think as they grow. The fourth one, fake news. And this is common now in our world, where someone says COVID came from here because of this. Someone says when you do this, you don't get COVID. Someone says this, someone says that. Someone says this government did. Someone says if you don't learn, you do this. Children learn from all this, and sometimes they want to adapt to some of this way of thinking. So how do we as parents block this? I'll teach that later. Then inappropriate content, which is mostly even like the fake news and the sexting and the rest. Okay, so these are issues kids face. Now let's go to some statistics. Most kids per statistics show, that's from 2021, shows that they spent more of their times on these gadgets to play games or watch YouTube videos. Third one, to complete an assignment for school. But take note, they spent less time on the assignment and more time on the playing of games and watching YouTube videos. The rest, communicating, so on and so forth. But we are thinking, at least we agree all work and no play, but they should spend more time on their work instead of the no play aspect. Then what has we as parents, what do we do in terms of protecting our kids online? And I won't be surprised by statistics I'm gathering concerning our space in Ghana and maybe the West or sub-Saharan Africa. Most of us are not into protecting our kids online. And the point is, how many parents even know there are settings on these gadgets which will help them to protect their kids from doing other things or going beyond their limits online? So we should set boundaries as to what they can access and what they shouldn't access. Time spent on these gadgets and boundaries that they shouldn't go beyond. Now, what solutions are we to provide to solve this problem? One, there is a need to provide a tech solution to protect children online, and that is my area I'll be explaining more. There's also the need to create a healthy and safe online habit. And that will come in when we as parents spend more time with our child or teens online. But the point is, we now spend a lot of time looking for money to cater for them. But we should know that in as much as you look for money to cater for them, there are still family things we need to do, or family habits we need to let them cultivate in. So spending time online is good, but we as parents should also be a part of that spending time online. It also helps them as they grow. We should also keep our child safe with open communication, and that's a frank talk, where you can sometimes start now to let them know why you shouldn't mention this word online, why you shouldn't use the F word online, why you shouldn't insult your colleague online, why you shouldn't cyberbully, what's the meaning of sexting, what's the meaning of this, if someone is trying to say this to you, if someone is mentioning this to you, why you shouldn't reply or why you should report to your parents. We should have frank discussions with our children. The more bonds you have with your children, they open up and let you know what they're experiencing online. Now, what are the checklists that I'll spend more time on? There is a need for parents to know where on social media their children are, or what social media platforms they've registered on. And with that one, you can create security accounts which can monitor what they do. Without you knowing those accounts your kids own, that's a red flag there. Because it's from there that they now get to learn habits that can affect them, whether negatively or positively. But more at times, it's negative compared to positive. Then the next one is, there is a need to turn on parental controls. Most modern gadgets now, from televisions, laptops, desktops, tablets, phones, all have parental controls on them. So it's for you, the parent, to know where those controls are and how you can control them. Then, most importantly, there are kids who sometimes even learn ahead of their parents. But with the knowledge of using MFA, multi-factor authentication, it becomes quite difficult sometimes for them to even install an app. Because sometimes you take your phone and you probably only use WhatsApp, you use one or two other stuff on it, but before you know, you have about 10 different apps on it, where mostly it's from your kids. They install all those apps without sometimes knowing that some of the apps are third-party apps which have malwares and the rest behind them. If possible, go through the security checklist with your kids for them to know what they are not going to and what is required of them. Then monitor websites and apps visited by your kids, and we'll look at all of that in the practical aspects later on. So these are checklists every parent should take note of. In as much as we work to make money to look after them or watch how they grow, cater for them, we need to monitor their social media life, their online life, so on and so forth. Where do kids spend more time? And where are controls to be placed? 1, social media platforms. 2, gaming. 3, all technological devices. And 4, entertainment and search engines. These are, per research, where most kids spend their time. And these are where we as parents should put in control settings. So we'll go over that in practicality. Then later I will introduce you to these options where most are free, but if you need advanced versions, you need to pay something later. But even with the minute version or the basic version, it's still helpful to most families. I recommend all of this, and I'll share the links later, where you can install on your phone or on phones for your kids, and you can, as parents, even monitor what your children are watching at a particular time, an app they use more, an account they've created, and how you can monitor or even shut it down, the time they spend on screen, so on and so forth. I'll spend some little time to show you how you can control all of this. So let's start with the practical aspect. The first thing I'm going to explain is this. The first thing I'm going to explain is, first, how do you stop a website that you don't want your child to have access to? Let me just open this, just a minute. Because sometimes you like to, so I've just opened a Firefox account. Our kids are so clever now. When you even block a website, mostly people would have said, let's go here. Just a minute. People would have said, let's go here, let's go to settings. I normally don't prefer this as a security person. Let's go here and let's block. Let's make some exceptions and all that. Some can say, let's make some exceptions on some pages. Some can say, let's make some exceptions on some pages where you can type any website here, maybe Instagram, Facebook. Maybe your child spends a lot of time on Facebook and you want to block that account. You want to block that account. So let's start from the scratch so that people see where I went. So this is the Firefox browser. So you can go to the open application menu on the far right here. Let me just minimize this. Yes. You can go to the open application on the far right here. Then you just go to your settings. You just go to your settings. Then you go to privacy and security. Now, for this, you want to probably block some sites. You want to probably block some sites. So let's take one site, but I'm telling you, your kids even know this than you. So I'll teach you another way that, so you teach them, they will know. I normally don't prefer this one. So add exception. So I probably would like to add some exception to this one, so that probably you limit this website from being accessed by your child. But I'm being frank with you, because we are IT people, whether students or whether highly learned, we can easily do this. But it can easily be broken. My son can create his own. He even blocks some of the accounts he doesn't want himself to access, and can even remove ones I even create. So I noted this and I'm like, no, I will have to find another way. So this is another way to block all websites. So whether industry or even for your kids, this is how you can block a website easily. So you go to any search button on your task bar. Any search button on your task bar. Then just type Notepad. Just type Notepad. This is more secure than what I was teaching you. Type Notepad. When you go to Notepad, you see it here. Don't open yet. Right click. Right click. When you right click, you have to run as administrator.
Doc.
Yes, sir.
I think we can't see that particular demonstration.
Oh, you can see. Okay, yes. Let me find a way to. Okay, let me show desktop. Just a minute.
Yeah.
let me show desktop. Let me show desktop. I'm finding a way to share my desktop. You can see it now, right?
Yes, we can see, but you were talking about a notepad.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting on. I'm starting all over, but I want you to see the screen first.
Yes,
Yes.
So first type notepad.
Great.
Then when you type notepad, immediately it comes, don't open it, right click. For this to work, you have to run as an administrator. So right click and go to run as administrator. So this pops up, then you go to yes. Okay, so let's wait. I've opened it. So do you see the notepad?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so from notepad, you go to file. Please pay attention to this one. This is where the solution is. You go to your file. Now, if you go to file, so I go to file here, then go to open. So from file, you go to open. It brings up a pop-up like this. It brings up a pop-up like this. Now, there's a line of code, that one I will share with you later. Okay. So my operating system is my drive C. So what I'm doing now, you see, I'm going straight into my operating system. So kids, without you teaching them this, they'll find it difficult knowing where it is for them to unblock that website. If you go straight to the one on the web browser, they can easily unblock themselves. So I go here, since it's my drive C that's having my operating system. So C, I'm going to my drive C. So this line of command. So this one I can share with you later. I can type and share with you guys. So I have to go to my Windows this way. C column / Windows, then another slash this way. Then I go to systems 32. That's the folder with that access to web pages on your browsers. Then systems 32. Then another slash. I go to drivers. Then when I go to drivers, another slash. That's the last one. Then etc. Someone will say etc. Okay. So this line of code, pay attention. C column / Windows / systems 32 / drivers / etc. Take note of this. I'll give this line of code. I'll copy later and post on the PPT and share with you guys. Now, the next thing you see on the right, you see test documents. Drop down that option and you see all files. All files. All files. Yes. Joshua, thank you very much. You've done a good job. You've sent the link. Okay, so all files. Now, when you get to all files, never ever, this place, when you delete something here, it can affect your OS in a certain way, or your operating system. So what I'm going to do later, because I've used for several times, I know where to go and how to go back. So what I'll do is, just for most people not to delete anything they want, you can make a duplicate of this. So you can copy and paste. It will make a copy here. Okay, so you see there's another copy. In case there's a mistake I do to the original one, I can delete and remove the copy from there. Okay, so let's go back here. I need this host opened. Host, I need it open. So I double click host, then it opens this for us. I open host and it opens this for us. Now take note. This is what gives access to all web pages you click on your web browser. This is like the pathway to your web or your cyberspace. Okay, this particular link. Now, how then do I block an account? Just, you can copy and paste the same link. You just need this link copied, or you can type. So I copy this, I paste. What website do I want to block? I want to block Instagram. So with the same link, so 127.0.0.1 space, you just give a space. You see that first was closed like this. So just give a space. www. So any website you want to block from anyone, www.instagram.com. Maybe your child spends a lot of time here. Let me create another one. www.facebook.com, like this. When you are done, just save. You can close and it asks you, do you want to save, or you can go to file, save, like this. Then close it. Now, let me go and type Facebook. No, Instagram first. Let's see if Instagram will work. You see that it's taking a long time to open because it is not having access to the particular space for it to be open. If you are to delete, immediately you open, it shall come. Let me go to Facebook. You see? Because we've disabled Facebook, there is no way it's going to come. So this is my best way for you to block your kids or anybody else from a particular website you don't want them to access. Because with this, so your kid knows where to go to the notepad administrator, go to this link, c/windows/system32/ so they know that at least you are safe for now. They will get there, but so they get there, this is safe for us. So this is my first practice. How do you block web pages from your kids? How do you block web pages from your kids? Should I go over again, or it's okay? I can proceed to the next thing.
Yeah, no, for want of time, you can go to the next
again.
I should go to the next one. Okay, thank you. Then the next thing is, you notice in your house, you have a Wi-Fi, whether Surfline, whether MTN, whether Vodafone router. How do you manage that router in terms of time your kids spends on it? And how do you block other settings from your kids? Now, most routers, depending on how it is, they have a lot of settings from the others. I'm using MTN TableNet. So let's look at how do I control what my kids, the time my kids spends on that router or online. Now, to get the router number or the link to that router, two ways. I know my IP for my router. So sometimes you can look beneath your router or behind it. You see the number to access the router. Mine is 192. Sometimes it's not, I shouldn't even show it to you because with this, you can do a lot of things to me. But let's proceed. I'll just take it at that. I just need to make sure my password is always strong. Okay. So when you open your router, I'll show you another way without using the 192. Now, I just go enter my password, then I submit. Now, this is inside my router. Now, the next thing is, you will see parental control here. And this is on most routers. Almost all routers I've come across, you see it here. Now, the next thing is, I have to manage all the devices that are hooked on the router at home are here. iPad, iPhone, my TV, my desktop, so on and so forth. Now, I can decide to control all of them or the one my kid uses most of the time. You notice the iPad has been added to the kids' devices here. So you can control all the devices. So I can decide, maybe I gave him an iPhone to use, so I can add that iPhone to the list here. I can add that iPhone to the list here. Now, the next thing is, once I've added it here, what am I to do? For this particular MTN platform, they didn't add a lot of features like the ones I've seen for other Huawei devices. So for this, what you can do is you can control the time your kid spends on the internet. So what do? I come to access policy. for every router is different, but you still see almost the same thing happen. So online access policy here. So I decide Monday, so Saturdays, they don't go anywhere, probably. All your kids will be home if they don't go for classes. So what do? I have to, this, maybe from 7 to 12, they go to church. So they shouldn't have access to your internet. From 7 to 12, maybe 1 to 7 o'clock, they should have access to internet. Maybe from 8, they have to be sleeping. So you can block this way. You can block this way. Okay? You can block this way. Now, you can choose any of the other days. So what happens is, so they take your device that you haven't blocked. Any of their devices are assigned to this router. Immediately I save. Every Saturday, they won't have access to internet till 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. All the other days, you can decide they have internet, but you can still decide when they don't have, depending on what you do. And some routers too will allow you to give websites you block, but this MTN platform doesn't. So I'll just skip. So that's why I still stick to my old one. Okay. So immediately I click on save, that is activated. Immediately they take any of their personal devices, they won't have access to internet because I have limited their time they spend on that internet. So we solve two problems. How do you block website pages? 2, how do you control the time they spend online using your router? I'll teach how to do it on your phone soon. So these are 2 different techniques. Okay, so I move to the third one. Let me just close this one. Just a minute, please. Let me close this. Okay, so the third one. Now I'm going to connect my phone to the screen. So let me stop share here and let me connect my phone to the screen. Just a minute. Let me just make this. So you can all see my screen.
Yes, please.
Yep, Doc.
Right. So I'll teach 2 things. This is Android. When I finish, I'll teach how to use the iOS. Now, for the Android, just a minute. I think for a phone, it's quite slow showing all the settings. Just a minute. Okay, so let me use the phone to show. Madam Millicent, can you hear me, please?
Yes,
we
please, I
Doc.
can hear
Okay.
you.
Very good. Let me use the phone to teach how this is done. So let me share the screen for this one. Okay. Where is one is
Dr. Salasi, if you can mute one of the devices.
Yes, I have. I've done that. Thank you. Okay. So For Android, I think it depends on the phone you use, but most of the settings for most Samsung phones will probably be the same. And I think for most Androids, you have the same setting in one way or the other. Now, for my phone, if I want to control where and what time and what they should use and not use on my phone, when you go to your settings, so first I go to my settings, I go to my settings, then down the settings, you are going to see digital well-being and parental controls. So it's here, digital well-being and parental control here. So when you come here, you are going to see there is an app called Family Link app. And I would advise most parents to use that app, Family Link app. That's one app I will spend some time on as we go on. Now, when I come here, I can go to blocked apps. Blocked apps. So you can decide what app your child shouldn't have access to. Now take note, because I have created an account with this Android system or OS, I registered with my Gmail, one of my Gmail accounts. I registered with one of my Gmail accounts. So to access this, I need to enter my password. Then from there, so let me see how I can do without Mr. Chris looking at it. Even though I know he's seen it. Okay. So I've logged into it. Now take note, any system you want to hide from your kids, make sure that there is a code on it, whether PIN or whether password. Whether PIN or password. Immediately they see there is no PIN or password on any of those security applications, they become happy because they can easily have access to breaking any of those things you think you are hiding. Okay, so you have to go through all of these apps and make sure you disable which one your child shouldn't have access to. Now take note, this is mostly important if this device you are going to put all the settings on, it's mostly used by your kids. If it's used by you and the kids, you have to then be going back and forth as to when to unlock using your password and when not to unlock. So take note, if primarily this phone is for your kids, this 100%, disabling all of this becomes very effective. Okay, so take note of how to block. So to block, I said you go to parental controls here under digital well-being and parental. Digital well-being and parental. Okay. Now, another thing I'll introduce you to. There is an app called, let me just type here so that you see. Family Link. Here. To me, when I want to give the top 3 softwares you can use to protect your kids online, is this one and another one, Microsoft Family Share. These are like the 2 best apps you can use. And to use this particular one, you have to have a Gmail account. You can't use any other account. Okay, so to use this app, you have to make sure the device your kids use are also having this application on it. We have the parent one and we have the kids one. So this is the parent one and this is the parental control one. The parental control one is the one the kids are going to have on their tablets, their phones, or any device. Okay, so for we parents, we need this one. Now, what happens? you have to create an account for this one. So parental sign in. Let me see if I can sign in. It's been a long time I signed into this. Just a minute. So let me just add another account for you to see how it's done. Why do you need this? You need this app because this app can disable apps on your children's tablets, or before they even install an app, when they go to Play Store, you'll be notified for you to enter a PIN before they have access to installing any app. So that now you don't have the issue of you have only 2 apps on your phone, your tablet, but when you wake up, you have 500 apps, about 200 games, 200 days, 100 apps unnecessarily. So this will enable you to control the apps they install. Okay. Now it says choose any of those systems. Let me just choose. So make sure you have an account with Gmail before you can use this one. Okay. So as you go on, you can read all of this step by step. Most of us are IT oriented, so it shouldn't be an issue here. Okay. So you see that important things I've added to mine, so that even if any child to sneak into this phone, they will still need to use their fingerprint, which they don't have on the phone, to log into it. Okay, so this one asks for your child's school account. So you can decide to even create a new one without your child's school account. Okay, you can decide to create one, maybe Selena Quest. If Dr. Quest has a doctor called Selena Quest, you can do that at Gmail. You can create a new one for them. Okay, so this is the first one. The second one is this other app. The difference between this and the other one is, with this, you need to have an MSN account. That's a Microsoft Outlook or MSN account. Okay. I will insist you need these two because now I see most families giving, which I don't think is a good idea, giving phones to their children to school. Because probably, should there be a danger, emergency, you can call your parents to ask them, but some have their reservation. But this app, like the other one, enables you to locate your child in case you can't find them. It enables you to locate your child in case you can't find them. So if you look at this location like this, it asks you to add all family members who own digital devices. So it's not even limited to only children. Any family member who own a digital device, you can add them to this list. Okay, then you can be a master here to monitor what happens. You can be a master here to monitor what happens. So the next point is the importance of this Microsoft one from the other one is now most gaming devices have links to Microsoft, especially Xbox. So you notice when your children have a lot of time on their games, it also affects them one way or the other. And now you can even access all web pages with some of this modern PS and Xboxes. So how do you even regulate that? This allows you to do that. This app can also allow you to monitor that. So you can set time limits. How many minutes should they spend on these games? So I just click here. So it says you can set any time limit on any of these devices. So you see, you can choose, maybe weekdays, they shouldn't play any game. Weekdays, they shouldn't play any games. So you can decide to clear that there's a time limit for them to use the games, okay? Or you can disable all if you want. Or the next thing is this. You can go to apps and games, but this one needs you to connect to those game consoles so that you can determine, because there are some games which are very dangerous for our kids. There are some with some dangerous effects, some killing each other, some cutting with knives, some doing this, and some even sexting issues have come up recently. Okay, so you can even connect to those devices and control which games they should use or not. Because I don't own one, I don't have it here. But for those who own Xboxes or Microsoft-related games, you can have them all here, and you can control the time your kid spends on it and the games they have installed on it. Which one do you agree they should have? Which one do you disagree they shouldn't have? So this is very, very important. Okay, so the best two apps, so note the apps. The first one is the Microsoft Family Share or Safety app, and the next one is the Family Link. This one that I've spoken about. So have these two apps, and you thank me for having it. Okay, so I'm done with the iOS. Now let me go to the. I'm done with the Android. Let me go to the iOS. Just a minute, please. Any question with Android before I come to iOS? I'm connecting my iOS phone to this one. Just a minute.
Hello?
Yes, Madam Liz, I'm connecting my iPhone to
Okay.
no, just a minute.
All right. So please
Okay.
be wrapping up also for us.
No
because of the
problem.
time.
No problem. Let me
Thank
just
you.
finish this one. Okay, thank you. With iOS, please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
yes.
Perfect. With iOS,
Yes, sir.
it's embedded straight in the system. So from here, you go to your, since the time is almost up. With iOS, you go to your, just a minute. Okay. So 2 ways. You can use the privacy to control what your kids will have access to and what they shouldn't. Using the privacy, you can change which location they have access to, what under contacts they shouldn't have access to, so on and so forth. iOS is far straightforward compared to the Android. Okay, but there's an easier way here for parents. I'm just looking for that and just a minute. Yes, please look here. Anytime you see screen time on any Apple device, it's the same as parental control. So when I click on screen time like this, now I have to first make sure I assign a passcode. So let me just turn off passcode now. Let me show you how it's created. If you don't create passcode, your kids can regulate or control this device. So first create a passcode. So I'm creating one now. Okay, so I've created my passcode. Now, there are 4 things that needs to be regulated. The downtime, app limit, always allowed, and content and privacy restrictions. When you go to any, it will ask for a passcode, and that's the most important thing. When I go to downtime, it's asking for a passcode. So I enter the passcode. Then it asks, how many hours should your child spend on the device? So you can choose every day, customize days. So you go to customize days. Now, customize days. Between what time and what time on Monday to Sunday should they access their phone? Or some content we will block later. Okay, so you determine that under downtime. Now let's go to app limit. Now, you can limit the time spent on the apps. So let me add limit here. Then what app do I want to limit? So I go to categories. Now, for those who use iOS, you notice you have a lot of apps, but the important thing is they are categorized based on what you do. It groups all social media platforms under social networking, all games under games, all entertainment stuff under entertainment, so on and so forth. So if you want your children to be limited as to what they do on social media, you go to social networking. Then I go to add. Now, when I go here, I can go to the time they spent on that particular platform. Maybe they spend only 1 hour every day. 1 hour every day just on that app. Okay. So when I'm done, then I go back. So that means I've blocked their social media usage for only 1 hour every day. That's for the app limit. Then when I go to always allowed, this is very important. It's important because now you have to control, should they have access to messages? Should they have access to FaceTime, Maps, or any other apps here? Which one do you agree they should spend time on? You can add from this side. Okay, so you can add it from always allowed. Then when you go to content and privacy restrictions, you can disable, but I would never advise that you disable location service. Because what if you don't find your child? Or even the phone itself, when it's missing, you can locate where it is because this location service is on. So always allow. But for the rest, you can decide to disable contacts for your backup, your call records. You can block all of that. Okay. So based on what you want to disable and enable, you can do that under content and privacy restrictions. Okay. So those are for the iOS. Now, let me go to the television and I'm done. Now, because most of us are using, just a minute, let me stop this. Let me find a way to do this. Okay. Now, because most of us are using this, can I enable camera here? Okay, I think to be different, I wish I could use my camera to show how this is done. Okay, just a minute. That's very important because I've witnessed a few issues where now kids don't even need tablets to do Facebook, Instagram, or whatever. They use their phones and connected to their TVs. So let me just show something on TV now. Just give me, yes. Okay. So let me just connect this. Let me connect. I want to find, yes. Okay, so video here. Just some, so excuse. Let me change my camera. Yes. Okay, so if you can see, someone is saying, how do you protect using toys? I'll come to it. Okay, Just a minute. Okay, so yeah, so for those, so this, okay, so on television, if you can all see, so there's a digital television, and there's a need for you to protect this television. So what do? Most TV that is having access to internet now, it comes with access to, if you see down here, access to all platforms. You see, they can have access to Facebook, all accounts here. If they want, they can do the same thing they do on the phone here. They can do the same thing here. Just a minute. Yes, so this way they can have access to your, let me just open so that we see. So the same thing we do on our phones, they do it here. So this is Facebook. This Facebook. Yes, so how do I control this? So to control this, I have to go to my settings. To control this, I have to go to my settings. So when I go to, this is a setting. Now, when you go to your setting, every TV and what it says about settings, but mostly you find it under privacy or safety. You find it under privacy or safety. Now, if you go to safety, you see, the first thing you have to do is you have to on your option to this. I have to on this. Okay. Now, the first thing is it will ask you to create a code. So I've already created a code for this one. If you don't create a code, your kid still sees you to doing it and they know how to control it. So I go here. Just a minute. Then, now what do I want to do? I want to lock all those applications they have access to. So you notice, before I even have access to even locking and unlocking, I have to generate my code I have created. Or I have to input the code I have created. Just a minute. You first see my password. Don't worry, I'll create another one. Okay, so you see, which one do I want to lock? So you get it. It can ask for you to lock any of them so that your kid won't have access to it, so it is unlocked. You see, so that's the first option. The next one is, you know, mostly when you are abroad or when you are watching DSTV, they rate what you watch based on maybe 18 and above, 10 and above, 20 and above, so on and so forth. So on and so forth. The same happens here. You can decide that when they are showing a content which is saying that it is 11 and above, allow them to watch. When anything below 11, you won't be allowed to watch. So you can also regulate all of that here. Because most of the times we spend time at work, our kids sometimes spend more time home doing vacations. And before you know, they watch a lot of stuff. So also on your TVs, make sure you lock all content that you know can harm your children. Okay, so Madam Millicent, you can take over from here. So thank you very much. This has been my presentation, and I hope you like it. If any question, I can still answer later. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Okansi. Thank you so much. So now we have opportunity to ask questions, and I know some are already in the chat there. If you can address them, and also we give an opportunity to attendees to ask their questions. You just raise your hand and then you can go ahead with your question.
Okay, so you asked about how do you protect using smart toys? Are you talking about how do you protect the
kids who are using smart toys?
Okay, so what components of the toy? Is it a tablet or the toys with the cameras?
The toys with the cameras.
The one with the cameras. The one with the cameras, the only thing you can do to protect is the camera watching you that you don't like, or is it that, because what I know about those cameras is for you to view what is happening at home when you are not home. So it's for me to know what aspects you are trying to protect. Is it the viewing what is happening at home, or the kids use it for something they shouldn't use it for? So with that one, I can answer. If it's
You know,
for
because of Internet of Things, some of them also you can connect it to other devices.
very true,
And the
like a
fact that
webcam sort of,
yeah.
You can also
Yeah.
most of those toys come with applications. I don't know about the one you are talking about. The ones I've seen, just like a webcam, which comes with its own application. You can also put in some settings to control how it works. But I've always not been a friend of cameras on these devices because there are third-party softwares I can use to view you, Madam Millicent, through that app. You get a point. So depending on what you are trying to restrict, that device will come with an app that also adds some parental or safety control setting on it. If not, then probably we have to look for a third-party software that supports it to control what they view and what they shouldn't view. That's basically it. Okay. Any more questions, please?
Okay. Thank you. I think I had another question where I was asking the safety.
Okay.
So I'm home, I put this control. They go out there. So we want them to be safe. So what advice do you have?
You want them to be safe
Outside
in terms of
my home.
outside your
They
home.
go online. So what are some of the things?
Yes, so that's why I said have those two softwares I mentioned installed on your phone. And yes, and with that one, you control what they do on their phone. Any app they go beyond, any website they go beyond, you'll be notified on your phone using those two apps. If you've blocked Facebook and they are trying to go on Facebook, you'll be notified that your child is trying to go on Facebook, or your child has gone to a part of the device you've disabled or is trying to. So you need to get a third party which will notify you, because without being notified, there's no way you know what they are doing outside. Okay, so that's why I recommend to you that for Android users, mostly the best you can use, but I've seen people using the Microsoft tool on their, I don't know how they were able to use on their iOS, but installing those two can help you a lot. Okay, so get those two installed. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kansi.
You're welcome.
Please, any other questions from the attendees? I think earlier on there were some questions in the chat board. Or
yeah, someone was asking for the link for the what about I did to show how to hide the website. But I think someone said it. Someone said it to them. Okay.
Yes, please. Let's feel free to ask our questions, and because we've gotten a lot of insight today, so let's ask some questions from the experts.
Maybe they are full. I'm sure they are full.
See our prof, Dean, the hand
My
is
hand
up.
is up.
Oh, prof, yes.
Asamoah, please go ahead.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yes, prof.
I've been following keenly, and
yes.
I see that, we've been shown some age restrictions and access and all that.
Yes.
Now, my worry is that there are certain contents in the virtual space
yes.
that is coming from other jurisdictions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they will tell you that this is suitable for this age bracket.
Very true.
I remember the issue of Peppa Pig came up.
Yes. Yes.
I have a lot of
on
toddlers,
YouTube and all that.
I know Peppa Pig.
Mm.
And you have all these gay suggestions and LGBT suggestions. Now, they will tell you that it is friendly for toddlers from their perspective.
Very true.
But obviously, from my side, I may think otherwise.
Yes.
So, though the person delivering the content is saying that it is good for my child, I may think otherwise. How do I sift all those things and ensure that some of these things that somebody thinks is good for my child, it's actually not brought to the attention of my child?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Prof, if you noticed on the PPT, that point was made. I made that point by saying we shouldn't limit ourselves only to what like guys like that say or what we think our kids are comfortable in. So there's a need for us to spend time on ourselves and that of our kids. the more time we spend with our kids, we know what they spend time on. And probably when we sit down, because I didn't know about Minecraft and all of that, so I saw my son spending a lot of time arranging some boxes, moving here and there. And I was wondering what is Minecraft. So I had to go and read about it. So I think we should have a good communication and spend more time with our kids. Otherwise, I don't have also known like what you were saying. You get, so apart from the technology side, spending time, affectionate time with our kids also can play a role to also know what they are doing outside the scope that we even would have thought is comfortable but are not. Okay, so that's on the IT aspects. We can do our side, but on the ones that go beyond IT that probably we think are safe and we don't know about, we can also learn about it and find a way to curb it. Okay, so because of this, people trying for us to understand their culture, LGBTQ, RBRC, and all that, they always find ways and means to integrate some things which are not friendly with us into things that children grow with. So it's for us to determine, based on our time spent with our kids and what they do, know which are good and which are not. So that's the little I can say. Maybe there's a lot more someone can add to, but from my perspective, spending time with your kids to know what they are on and what they do can also help us to know what we can do to advise them outside the IT space. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Okansi. Please, any other question? You can raise your hand and you feel free to ask your question.
Someone is asking for the apps. Someone is asking for the apps. Please, the first one is called Family Link. Family Link. When you go on Play Store, just search for Family Link. And the next one is called Microsoft Family Safety. Or you can just type Family Safety. You see it there. But there are other third-party ones like Kaspersky and the rest. But to me, the best are these two. And they are friendly for not too much IT-based people. Yes, Dr. Oware.
Oh, okay, Dr. Okansi. I am pointing to a question in the chat. In fact, the question is coming from Madam Chair herself.
Okay.
It goes like this. Okay, the smart devices have changed childhood.
Yes.
Do you agree with this assertion? This looks like
it has.
Yeah.
That's why I said it has made the kids think faster than us. Yeah. They are way ahead of. I've been introduced to websites I didn't know about. My son introduced me to the new AI. He said he saw it on CNN. He did a chat GPT or something. He introduced me to it. You see, I am an IT person, but I didn't know about it. So how did he find out? Watching TV, going online, you get the point. So smart devices has also made them smarter. Where I've seen a 6-month-old baby who knows how to swipe a tablet. For us, to be even 40, people don't know how to even put a thumb on a phone to open it. So that's to show you where they are coming from and their age and their generation. So smart devices have made them smarter, even though some will say they were smarter before they were born, but it's made them smarter. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okansi. Yes, please, any other question? We still have some 5 minutes to spare if you have any question. Yes, so a hand is up. Is it Jaika? I'm not seeing the, please go ahead.
Yes, Jaika.
Yeah, Jaika. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Jaika, you can go on.
Jaika, can you unmute yourself and then go ahead with your question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Perfectly clear.
Oh, okay. This is HOD, Dr. Kofi.
Reverend, see your name. Please. Yes, please go ahead.
Dr. Okansi, thanks so much for the insightful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to add a voice to what you were saying about monitoring the kids.
Yeah.
I just want to say it's very true. Sometimes they will just pick the tablet and then they will just be under disguise that they are doing their assignments, they are doing research. Yes, and by the time you realize they are almost doing the research and stuff like that, watching various things. So I just want to add my voice to yours. We need to monitor them. Sometimes we need to, even when that they are watching, we need to watch it with them so that we'll be able to monitor them and not go wayward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Many thanks, Jody. Thank you very much. Please, any other question? We still have
Yes, someone mentioned, someone is Miss Mensah. She says, I would like to ask if there is a way of censoring certain sensual words or photos on kids. Yes, there is. There is. When you go to, depending on where they search it from, depending on, let me just do this before we close. When you go to your Google, yeah. Now, when you go to Google, please take notes. So this particularly goes to Madam Mensah. When you go to Google, please note down here on the down right, you see settings here. You see settings here. Then you can go to search settings. You can go to search settings. Now, when you go to search settings, you can decide on turn off safe search. You can check on it. You see that it's blank at first. So you can go to turn off safe search. Then you can go and manage what you term as explicit or non-explicit. So there's already a category of what is termed as explicit, and they've written it here. They've written it here. Okay, when you go down, you can read more about which they term as explicit and not explicit. So you can go to safe search. So that one, when they type certain explicit content, it becomes very difficult for them to have any results coming out. Okay, so for Madam Mensah, you can do this because that's normally the platform for doing a lot of searches. Okay, so I'll go over. You go to your Google, you go down here on the down right, then settings, then you go to search settings. Then you can go and manage safe search. When you go to safe search, you can just open, then you can go to on of the safe search. You on it. So now it limits some key explicit words. But the point is, with these algorithms, like what Professor was saying, the more we go into technology and what they feel is their culture, what we feel as safe, they feel as not safe. What we feel as not safe, they feel as is safe. Okay, so that there'll be content words that you feel this word in the context of Africa, Ghana, this one is not safe for our kids, but the people up there will tell you, oh, this is very safe. Otherwise, you are being racist, you are doing this and that. Okay, so take note of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think maybe we look at this as a last question. You say, how early is too early to get kids smart devices? If you'd like to help.
That one, I'll leave that one to the Professor Nkotu. But I'm thinking, yesterday, there was an analysis on radio that for kids not to use social media, they should start using after they are 16. And people were giving varied reasons as to why. So it's a policy that should be determined by people who study this industry. But because now we do a lot of learning online and we do a lot of research, even class 3, class 2, class 1, they ask us things that we don't even know. They can mention one word and they'll feel you're a doctor and you should know the meaning. And you don't want to disgrace yourself. You get, so you have to find a way to, let them understand, oh, if you have a problem, you can go to Google, you can go here. So you can't limit when, but as to the boundaries, that's where we need to put that we give you a chance to use smart devices because they are smart, but there's a limit as to the smartness and the limit as to what you should learn from those smartness. So we should determine what and when and how our kids use these devices. So that's my answer for Dr. Amankwa. Okay, Dr. Quest, last one. I think it's
actually the last. This is the last.
Actually, I just wanted to add to the last question that you answered concerning how early or late.
Yeah.
Right. And I just want to add that if you introduce your child to smart devices at a very early age, before year 6, you get the child prone to being autistic.
Wow.
Because, yes, they no more socialize and they always want to be on their own because they get glued to the devices. And a lot of research have shown that if you introduce them before age 6, you get them prone to be autistic.
Wow.
Right. So we should be careful on that.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Doc. That's a very good. That's a very good. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Kansi, for that insightful presentation. Thank you. And I think just by what everyone is saying here, it means parenting, the way we want to outsource everything because we are busy, we cannot outsource parenting. Human beings are social technical systems, so we have to be on guard. I want to take this opportunity to welcome again our chairperson for her closing remarks.
We haven't even started. And thank you, Dr. Okansi. In fact, when you were presenting, the thought that was running through my mind has been, what about our anti-techie parents?
Very true, yes.
Because clearly, if you have a good educator, he might be able to play the backstopping role for you. But if you, a parent, you are not that equipped, how then do you become effective in safeguarding? So that brings to mind why it's important for all of us to come together in ensuring that children and young people are safe. And what do I mean by all of us? As educators, yes, we encounter some of the people, and some of your students could even take it up on themselves as project works to do basic research in their communities, come up with issues that the young people are facing in their community and offer volunteer to support these young people in their spare times and all. And sometimes let's encourage parents to also ask providers for solutions. The anti-spam platforms are also there for them to activate, for them to use. So how then do we take advantage of those opportunities? I think it will be good if we do that. And at the governmental level, we need to also ensure the safety by design. But that one too takes a collective decision by all of us to make sure that things are done and done properly. And in fact, your presentation, I would want you to take it up a step further. If we can get infographics from this, it will do a lot of good to most parents who might want to use the steps you've given, the tips in activating the various safe searches and all of that. And from all of this, I started writing down some questions which parents could start asking themselves before giving a child a device. The first one has to do with, okay, has your child developed the social and emotional skills which will help him in the space? That is something you should be frank about. Can you answer that question comfortably? Does your child know what it takes to have reputational issues online? Because most of them are leaving footprints that sometimes when they apply for volunteer opportunities, some of us turn them down because they have too many inappropriate contents against their names, which will not augur well for what role you are engaging them on. So that is also something we should start talking about. And how well are our young people ready to unplug? Because connecting all through has issues. But then if your mother or your father cannot put the systems in place in order to safeguard, can we now make online safety conversation a lifestyle such that the child will know that, okay, if I stay too much on the online, this is what I'm likely to be faced with or not. And critical thinking in order to avoid the fake news situations and all of that. Now, finally, are we equipping these young people to be digital leaders? When I say digital leaders, I'm looking at a situation where a young person or your child sees another child being abused online and could act as a bystander, upstander in order to help that young person overcome the situation, providing support rather than help fueling the situation. So I don't want to talk too much because we ran out of time. However, I feel that if we are all of us here, about 150 plus of us here, can make it a project, personal project, at church, at the mosque, at school, or even in our community, to provide this basic information to parents, not necessarily the technical ones, but the social ones, because in technology, mostly about 70% of the cybersecurity issues we face are human. So how do we then contribute? In contributing our little quota in our own small ways will go a long way to helping these young people to becoming good digital citizens and good future leaders for Ghana and the world as a whole. So that's by way of closing remarks. And thank you, Madam MC.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairperson. Amazing, amazing. Indeed, we all have to play our role. It's a collective effort. So I want to welcome at this juncture Dr. Mohammed Nuruddin to give us the vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, before Dr. Nuruddin comes, if our Dean is online. Hello, Prof. Emmanuel Asamoah, are you online?
Yes, he's on.
Okay, Prof, would you want to give some remarks before Dr. Nuruddin give the vote of thanks? Prof. Dean.
Dr. Wari, thank you very much. It's been very exciting conversation we've had. And I'm particularly excited about the presentation. As a faculty and as a department, in our quest to bring IT skills to the doorsteps of everybody, we don't want to leave anyone out. This is just the first in the series of things that we are going to do. I heard the chairperson, Madam Chairperson, talking about volunteerism and we taking this to the communities. As a faculty, this year, one of the things that we are going to do is something that we have christened Volunteers for IT Literacy. And basically what we are going to do is to get our students who have some level of knowledge in IT to go to some of the deprived schools, deprived communities, just basically any school at all, and send some of this information down there to them. And so we are putting together the strategy. Management has approved it, and we are still engaging the students to form it, regularize it, and then begin to roll it up. We want to take IT to our communities. We want to create a safe internet environment. We want to create responsible IT citizens so that we can have a safe environment for everyone. When the time comes, we'll call on the support of everyone, and we'll be happy if you lend your support to us. On that note, I wish to thank everybody for participating. We look forward to seeing you again in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Dean. Thank you. Yes, so we'll take the vote of thanks from Dr. Mohammed Nuruddin.
Okay, thank you for giving me the honor. I want to start by expressing our depth of gratitude to the distinguished chairperson, Madam Aideen Amenya, who is also the executive director of Child Online Africa. Madam, your presence here and your insight has been exciting. And we are only hoping that we can have many of these platforms to share with you in the future. And then also to the our resource person, Dr. Salasi Okansi, your presentation has indeed been insightful. And then I think we've learned a lot, and then everybody here will have something to share with their family, friends, and neighbors, such that we can keep our children online whilst they are protected from the many bad things that can happen there. And then to the management, Professor Emmanuel Asamoah and his team, Dr. Emmanuel Owari, Dr. Akrofi, and then Dr. Adjoa Amankwa. We are indeed grateful for your great leadership and then initiative. And to all who have contributed in diverse ways to make this seminar a success, we say a very big thank you to you all, and thank you all for your presence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Nuruddin. Thank you so much. So just as we started, we had to pray, and God indeed has guided us and bringing us to such an exciting end. And so we would like to call upon again Dr. Joshua Oduya to give us the closing prayer.
Right, thank you, Dr. Millicent. So, shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time, for guiding and seeing us through this webinar. We want to thank you for the insights that you've given to the resource person for today, the understanding you've given to all participants. And we are grateful, and we ask that as we end this session, you continue to protect us and bring us back here safely next month as we continue to deliver on this mandate of bringing IT to the doorstep of everyone. Father, we pray committing each and every one of us into your hands, the management, the resource persons, the chairperson, and everybody that has played any role today. We ask that your presence will be with us. We ask that you guide us through every single endeavor of ours. At the end, we'll be careful to give you glory. We thank you for this wonderful session. In the name of Jesus Christ, we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Dr. Nuruddin. And this is not webinar as usual. This is a step in the right direction, webinar for impact. It's been insightful and it's been very exciting. Thank you so much to our esteemed chairperson once again, our fantastic resource person, you cherished attendees. We thank you all, and the recording will be made available. Yes, let's keep the conversation going and let's keep our kids safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. When